Welcome to UpWell The Podcast. I'm Sarah, and this is my beautiful co-host, Katie. As fellow female entrepreneurs turned friends and now business partners, we are so happy you're here.
With every episode, it is our sole purpose to share authentic conversations to inspire your personal level up. Take our curiosity, add your best intentions, and flow with us in the UpWell.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of UpWell The Podcast. I'm Sarah. This is my girl, Katie, and we are so happy you're here.
Yes, welcome to the show. We are super, super excited for our next guest that we have today. He is a dear friend of mine who I have known for several years now. He is absolutely brilliant. He is a connoisseur of so many books. He's a Brazilian black belt, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He is a movement artist. He is a kettlebell guru. He is one of my dear friends. He is a father, a husband, and he is coming to us from Pennsylvania, Jason Brown.
Oh, thank you, Katie and Sarah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the love.
You bet, you bet. So, Jason, you and I met in 2017 at a kettlebell workshop that you were facilitating in Chicago. So tell us a little bit about what brought you into kind of that realm, that world of kind of movement and art that you kind of have created and are just moving through life with.
That's a great question. I don't think I get asked this question a lot. I don't think anything brought me necessarily. I think it's, and I'm sure both of you have experienced this as well. There's no like timeline where you're like, in third grade, I really liked movement, right? It's like you were always called to do certain things. I like the term archetype. I think there's archetypes that live within us. And some people have the artist, some people have the warrior, some people have the like merchant. There's a bunch of them, hero, all that stuff. But I've always been drawn to movement and let's just say like martial arts. And so I don't know when it was published. The kettlebell world specifically, I saw Rocky IV, is it? With Ivan Drago.
Yes.
And I fell in love with Russian sports science. So I was raised near the woods in Pennsylvania. There were woods right behind my childhood home. And I remember watching Rocky jog through the snow-filled like landscape. And I was like, I want to do that type of stuff. And then I fell in love with Russian sports science when I went to college for kinesiology. And then at that point, my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach, Stephen Maxwell, had the first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu academy on the East Coast, even prior to any of like the Gracies or Brazilians actually. And he had, and I can send you pictures of these because I am now the custodian of these kettlebells. He had one of his students who worked in a metal shop form these kettlebells out of a huge ball bearing and a metal handle. He literally welted them on. And I saw those walking up the stairs and I was like, these are speaking to me somehow, like from like the other side. And that's when I fell in love with kettlebells.
Awesome.
Can you tell us a little bit more about just the benefit of kettlebells? I know probably anyone watching this knows what a kettlebell is and possibly have used them at some point in time, but tell us a little bit more about maybe just why the training with kettlebells would be, beneficial or different than doing something else.
Great question, Sarah. So I actually think that the real benefit of kettlebell training is actually in the intangibles. It's not so much like it's better at burning fat or it's better at building muscle. I think what makes them more valuable is their accessibility. Like right now I'm in my bedroom and I'm looking at two kettlebells over there on the floor that my wife uses in between meetings. She doesn't have to go to the gym. She doesn't have to get, wear anything Lululemon. She's in her bedroom. She got two kettlebells right over there. She just picks them up and does some swings every hour on the hour, something like that. I think the real benefit is the simplicity and how accessible they are for the common person, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love that because that's actually probably the number one thing that I see people struggle with. I'm a personal trainer as well. And I think people just think everything is just so inaccessible. Like, and it's
Yes.
just, they need all these things, and they need all this stuff, whether it's a gym membership or a trainer, or, obviously those are all great things, but I love the idea of using a kettlebell because of its simplicity and availability. So
Simplicity. Yep. Very easy to implement. You can take them anywhere. I've traveled, I've flown with them before. And it can be a very simple but profound practice just to include it in your day-to-day activities. I've
yeah.
walked with them. I lead a hiking club at the local YMCA, and we do this thing called the kettlebell mile. And like the older folks, they get like a 12 kilo, and they're able to hand off as many times as they need to, but they have to walk the mile down with a 12 kilo kettlebell and walk the mile back. And this is exactly what these women need for the bone loss and all that stuff. It's not complicated. Just carry this, just like you would a grocery bag or your child or your grandchildren. It's really easy to implement, and there's no overthinking. Pick it up, walk back.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing about kettlebells is that the movement with the kettlebell is such a natural movement. Whereas if you have a barbell or dumbbells or something, it's a very you're kind of locked into a position. The thing with a kettlebell is you can move naturally, like how your body naturally moves, and you can do that with the kettlebell and still strength train while moving kind of just how your body naturally flows. And I think that's the beautiful thing about kind of a lot of I kind of call them the more the weird weights, like whether it's a steel mace or the clubs or the bells or anything. Like you have this ability to move with them in such a beautiful way that's a natural way, as opposed to a very rigid kind of like locked symmetrical way. And I think that's a big part of your philosophy is like natural movement and kind of keeping play in kind of in the realm of your workouts and in the realm of just daily living. So tell me a little bit about how that philosophy came to be.
The play philosophy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
think you're big on, and I love that.
I love it too. And I like, it's actually hard for me to do anything else, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, I think it goes back to it's human nature.
Mm-hmm.
Play is the original educator. Play is the original way that we did anything as humans. You two are very playful. I've just witnessed you play with one another before we started the recording, right? You were goofy and joking, and that is what we are.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fitness world, we actually do a very huge disservice to people because we take away the play, we take away the fun and the joy, and we make it very stringent and like, look, I was a Marine. I like the hard training as well. I mean, I can go if I need to go, but for the majority of people, we want to keep it light and we want to keep it playful, and they will learn better. They will be more engaged, and they will keep coming back for more movement and more opportunities to work with you instead of making it 3 sets of 10. You did it wrong. You did it incorrectly. Now you're going to be punished with burpees or whatever, right? Human movements. I have 3 sons. They're all beautiful, excellent movers. And when they emerged from like the crawling stage, I didn't teach them anything. I didn't teach them how to squat. I didn't teach them how to brachiate across monkey bars. They were like, I'm a human primate. I'm a little boy. I'm going to walk, crawl, climb, roll, do all of these things. And it was all this beautiful physical education via exploration and play, basically. And I think we need to do a better job as professionals in our field to reintroduce that to adults, because I think we long, like I'm 50, I long for more play. I long for more joy in the movement. Like those days of like doing high intensity CrossFit workouts, they are long gone. They don't speak to me anymore. And I know personally, they don't speak to many people anymore at all. It's those times have passed for certain people. I know people still get turned on by that type of hard work, but yes. Oh, you still do get turned on? Oh, yeah.
She's 35 though, so she's still.
I'm on the downhill.
She's a baby.
You're on the downhill slope.
And I just hit 40, and so I'm like.
I want to touch on something though, because I'm sure you've heard the quote or the saying, we don't stop playing because we age because we stop playing. And you can, that, you know,
Perfect.
that's interchangeable with moving or whatever. But I think there's so much truth to that. And just like you said, I think, you know, staying youthful and staying mobile and staying healthy has so much more to do with the enjoyment of the process, I think, than anything. So I love that whole philosophy.
So
Yes, that's so great, Sarah. Yes.
you work with an older population as well. Have you found that bringing play back into their kind of daily life has allowed them to become more youthful, has allowed them to become more, I don't know, kind of tapped back into that like childlike spirit that they have? Because I
Yes.
believe everybody has a childlike spirit.
Yes, and that goes back to what Sarah was just saying. I was going to say that as well. Not just physically, but the human spirit as well. We age spiritually also because we have stopped playing, because we have stopped maybe expressing ourselves artistically or creatively, right? We stopped playing music, we stopped drawing, we stopped watercolors, any of that. We have stopped it all, and I think we starve ourselves spiritually as well through lack of those activities. And not just physically, but that human spirit as well. Katie, to answer your question, yes. So I teach 5 classes a week for the older population. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of something called silver sneakers.
Yes.
Yeah,
I taught the
so
silver sneakers class.
it's the best class ever. So
It is.
it is, right? I teach a silver sneakers class for brain health, and that's all play, and it's all like finger dexterity and crossing the center line so it lights up both sides of the brain. But I also, silver sneakers has this Tai Chi program that they call Ener Chi, like energy, but instead of the GY, they changed it to Chi. And then I teach a Qi Kung or a Tai Chi class to older populations as well, a few times a week. And they specifically come, and they have told me this, because it feels like play and it feels dance like, and it doesn't feel like exercise. And that's where I am right now, spiritually, professionally, vocationally. If I can get these just yesterday I had 30 people in this Qigong class, and they were doing like crane forms and fluid movement for a fluid body, you know, and they're like, "Oh, Jason, I feel so good." And the benefits that they receive, it's like simple stuff like I sleep so well at night.
Mhm.
That's it. I sleep
Simple
so
but
well.
profound, small but big, right?
Huge, right? I don't get my butt looks good anymore, right? They're like, I sleep so well. I was able to walk 3 miles today instead of the one that I could, usually do, that type of stuff.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of that is attributed to our society in general? I feel like, you know, when I think about how we lose playfulness as we age, it's just because there's one rigid limitation put on us at a time. You know, we, like you said, your sons learn to walk and crawl and play and have fun. And then it's like, go to school, sit at a desk. And then it's like, okay, now you're joining sports teams and this is the practice times and how we do it and blah, blah, blah. And then you go to college, you get a job, and everything just stays so routine and regimented and rigid. That's the word that comes to my mind. And so I just want to hear your kind of belief system on some of that.
Yes. So off camera, Katie and I have often talked about society, and we share very similar views on society. And I
Okay,
think
then
Yes.
we do too.
Yeah.
okay, beautiful. We're gonna have to hang out in person one day. I'm gonna fly to Chicago right now.
Please do.
Please do.
But I think society does a horrible job of nurturing the human, specifically the human child. And by the human child, I mean a person that actually does mature into adulthood as well. And we can go
Mhm.
back to that creativity or that artistic spark that's within us. But yes, like I think society, we do a very huge disservice to treating the whole person and the whole human. Yes, through
We'll have to have
movement,
a
we strip away their movement. Go ahead.
We'll have to have a conversation someday on whether we believe that that's intentional or not.
I believe it. I believe it is. Look, I don't
Yes,
I
mind
do
going
too.
down that rabbit hole
I know.
at all because,
I
like,
don't want to get banned from YouTube yet.
Not yet.
oh my goodness. Yeah, I
So-
think it's intentional because I think they want us passive and
Controllable.
controllable is a great word. Yeah.
Yep.
Fat, dumb, and lazy is what they want us.
Fat, dumb, and lazy. Yo, live slow, be hard to kill, Katie. Go ahead.
Live slow. That's my motto. That's my motto is
love
live
that.
slow and be hard to kill.
You need a flag. You need a flag.
So with that though, what can we do as people in this profession? What would be some tips that you would offer to people to kind of bring that playfulness or bring that, you know, like that, almost like that childlike wonder back into their spiritual being, their physical being, their mental being? What are some ways that you could suggest or offer to some of our listeners that maybe feel stuck in that kind of that move, you know, kind of, I don't know, that pattern? They feel like they're just kind of
I gotcha. So the process that I use is, have you ever heard this term play practice?
Mm-mm.
So instead of like just practice, like today we're going to practice this field goal, 3,000 reps. There's a whole new school of movement called play practice. And it's frowned upon by many other practitioners because it takes the control, Sarah. It takes the control out of the coach's hands, the teacher's hands, and puts it into the hands of the player, the athlete, the artist. So it's more mover-centric, more child-centric, more player-centric, and less coach-centric or teacher-centric. So it's called play practice. And Katie, you know I got the books, so I can send you the book covers and all that stuff if you want.
Yes.
So the model I use play, practice, play. Play, practice, play. And this goes back to a gentleman, Alfred North Whitehead. He wrote essays and books on educational models. And his model was romance was the first stage. So I love that, romance. So we need to fall in love with the thing that we're studying if we're going to be engaged with it, right? So his first stage of learning was romance, right? You have to fall in love with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You have to fall in love with the clay. You have to fall in love with the paint, the texture, the color, the smell. Then it was play or romance. So people changed the terms. It was romance, then precision. So after you play with the materials, after you play with whatever, right? The clay, the paint, the body, right? Then there is a precision stage where, okay, I just did an arm bar playful type of drill. Now I need to refine that arm bar because I actually do want to get that arm bar on Katie when she's struggling to get out, right? So it's play or romance, then precision. And then the third stage of this gentleman's process was another play stage, but a deeper play stage because you have spent time within the precision stage. Does that make sense? So I took his wordage, I took his process, his methodology, and I changed it to play, practice, play. So say if we were having a very leg dominant training session or whatever, we would play with lunges. We would play ball games with the feet and the hips and the ankles and the knees, just to make the person have fun and be romantic and fall in love with the process. And then I would say, Katie, your knee was in a pretty dangerous situation right here. Let's spend some time in that precision stage. So that would be the practice. And then the play stage is like, all right, beautiful. We spent 35 minutes working on this form, so you're safe out on the soccer field or the jiu-jitsu mat. And then let's play on a deeper level with those movements again.
I love that.
I think if we warm people up with play, and then we let them play at the end of the session with the skills that we just taught them, it will help foster that type of relationship with movement again, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's so important because I would say the majority of the people that I work with are looking for weight loss, right? So a lot of times they're assuming that they're going to get some sort of punishment, brought down upon them by me that is going to be unenjoyable. And I think there's something so important about enjoying it and liking it and wanting to come back and do it again, because just like anything else in life, if you hate something, what are the chances? What are the odds that you're going to keep doing it? If you don't like what you're doing, why would you show up again and again? So I love that whole philosophy and that whole premise of falling in love or enjoying yourself and finding some fun in what you're doing so that it entices you and reinforces that action to come again.
Yes.
And go ahead.
Sarah, can I tell you a quick story? I taught a play-based workshop in St. Louis, and there was a woman there who had an Apple Watch on. And we weren't measuring anything. We were just having a good time with medicine balls and yoga blocks and all this stuff. At the end of the workshop, she burnt like 1,500 calories. She literally raised her hand and said, "Are we going to work out?" I was like, "You just burned 1,500 calories. What are you worried about?" Right? And we did everything. She addressed strength, mobility, flexibility, but she was still had in the back of her mind, I need to work out. Yeah.
I've personally been victimized by the fitness industry in that way. So I understand.
Yes, we're all victims.
We definitely are all victims of that. And just you saying the watch too, Sarah and I have some pretty stringent opinions about people who are addicted to what their watch says and if you ask them how they feel, they'll look at their watch.
They have to look at the watch. Yeah.
Or the ring or you name it and I fell victim to that several years ago. And I remember somebody asked me, "How'd you sleep?" And I said, "Oh, let me look." And they were like, "Wait, what?" And it was in that moment that I was like, "Oh goodness. Oh man." Yes.
It goes back to that.
Within a week, I got rid of the watch, and I bet you that was 5 or 6 years ago, and I haven't worn anything since.
That's incredible. It goes back to what Sarah said. Control.
Control. Exactly.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, and I think as much as it is, the societal level, it's also us as individuals thinking we need to be in complete control of everything all the time.
Yes. Sometimes we just need to let it all go, right?
I know. It's so true.
The guilt is incredible, right? The guilt's incredible. Yeah. I don't know if you two suffer from this, but sometimes I'll walk 15 miles per day, and I do push-ups and pull-ups and squats throughout the day. Just,
you walk how many miles per day?
Sometimes 15
miles.
Yeah. I got to up my game.
And then I'll come home and I'll be like, I'll feel guilty about sitting down. Does that ever happen to you? Like I should mow the grass, or I should mow the lawn, or I should walk the dog again. And I'm like, man, hold on. Let me look at my watch. Yep, 15 miles. Yeah. That's the only thing I use the watch for is my steps.
I call that not enough syndrome. I think we all suffer from not enough syndrome, whether we don't have enough or we're not doing enough or whatever it is. In America, we all suffer from not enough syndrome. Not enough syndrome.
I'm flying out there right now.
Come on.
Come on.
I'll drive. It's an 8-hour drive, I think.
There you go. Yeah. You have a quote, and it's practice chaos to develop control.
I love you, Katie. Yes.
And that is that philosophy has been ever since I saw that on the merchandise that you had. That is something that I actually think of daily. Is practice chaos to develop the control.
Thank you.
And thank you for that, actually, because I actually have a banner. We might hang it up on the wall in here. I was going to hang it up in my my garage gym, but my life has been turned upside down, so that's not an option anymore. So we're going to hang those banners up in here, Jason, because I still do have them. But that philosophy, the practice chaos to develop control, has been such a profound thing for me, especially recently. Tell me, what do you do in your life to kind of live that statement? To what kind of chaos do you practice to develop your control?
That is a great question, and thank you so much for remembering that quote and liking. I
love that. It's one of my favorites.
Oh, thank you. So. It goes back to play, because And again, I know we're all trainers and we all have to spend some time in that practice realm.
Mm-hmm.
But when we play with one another, it is very chaotic.
Okay.
Like, I don't know, Katie, what you and I play jujitsu together. I don't know what you're going to do.
Right.
And you don't know what I'm going to do. Right.
Kick my
So I
butt
have to
because-
develop the sense of what, say again.
I said they're going to kick my butt because
But you understand, right?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
So
yeah.
like that's the chaos. That's the chaos. And I think
Okay.
when the play actually encourages the chaos, because
Right.
I put you in situations where potentially you are a little bit uncomfortable. You need a little bit more development. You need a little more exploration. So I put you in a chaotic little situation that you have to solve. Again, the play puts you. It's Katie centric. It's Sarah centric. It's not Jason centric. I mean, I'm coaching you, but I'm coaching to get the best out of you, and you are the one that's actively creating. I'm not saying, Katie, put your foot here, right? You're
Right.
like, okay, when I put my foot there, I was able to respond much better. So
Right.
partner work, and I think jujitsu is one of the best arts for this partner work, and martial arts is a very good example of creating chaos to help people develop control. And it can be, hand-eye coordination with tennis balls. It can be just like simple roughhousing type of stuff. One of my sons is a lacrosse player. We do crazy stuff with lacrosse sticks, and it's not just repetitive shooting a lacrosse ball. It's doing weird stuff with one another, so they encounter situations that they actually have to become creative problem solvers instead of just like these robotic little runners on the field.
Right. No, I love that. I love that. Constantly bringing play into your life whenever you can is really the catalyst for developing, like, I think so many things: control, like,
Yes,
balance,
yes,
level-headedness,
everything.
stoicism, all of it.
Stoicism, yes. And I think partner human interaction is incredible. But one of my mentors, Yosef from Fighting Monkey Practice, he said, somebody said, what do you do if there's no partners around? He said, I go outside. It's always a different partner. Like, go do something just for example, go jog in the rain as opposed to jogging on a sunny day. Is it going to be different stimulus? Totally. Right?
Absolutely.
Go jog in the snow carefully. Is it going to be different stimulus? Yes. Go jog right now. It's 18 degrees. Go jog when it's 18 degrees and see how your body responds as opposed to like 106 or whatever.
Right.
The environment, he called it, what did he call it? I say environmental design. He called it, I can't remember, but it's the same idea, environmental design. Use your environment as the partner.
I even think what you said is so important too, as we, not just as we age, but just as humans in general, keeping the curiosity kind of alive in our lives and continuing to learn new things. And I think without doing something that's completely unknown, like you said, placing your foot here in jujitsu, like you would have to figure that out. You have to learn that because you're thrust into a situation that you didn't know the answer to. So I think that's so important. We've had guests on recently where we talked about kind of outsourcing your mind, or just outsourcing your decisions almost to people of authority, whether that's a coach, a trainer, a doctor, a teacher, the government, all those different things. But I think I love the whole premise of what you're talking about, because it really does kind of apply to just about anything. If you can add that level of romanticism or play into anything that you want to learn, whether that's reading a new book or listening to a podcast, like if you can find some enjoyment in anything, it's just gonna give that control and that power back to yourself.
Yes, outsourcing is a really good word. Yeah.
It's a very good word.
It is a very good word. We have done that in so many aspects of our lives, right? To the point that we don't even trust ourselves. It's like Katie's point with the watch. How did you sleep? I don't know. Let me check. Well, am I rested? Right? Am I rested? Did I wake up looking forward to the day? I'm going to say I slept pretty well, but I got a sleep score. Hold on. Right?
Yeah. And it's funny, since I actually got rid of the watch and I have become more connected with my sleep since removing that element of it and understanding that I may not have gotten a ton of hours of sleep, but I am mindful or I'm aware of the type of sleep I'm getting. And that is just by, like, I think the subconscious being able to pay attention to the sleep when I am sleeping, if that sounds kind of woo woo, but like, understanding that I'm, waking up and being like, yeah, I got a deep sleep, or yeah, I got a lot of REM sleep last night. I had a lot of dreams. I had a lot of, to understanding the type of sleep I'm getting and how that makes me feel and how that correlates with what I've done, the previous day, or how correlates with how I'm going to move or feel.
I think it has so much to do with curiosity. And I love the concept of play, because that to me goes hand in hand with staying curious about yourself, about life in general, about others, about how you move through life and in the world.
Yeah, curiosity and romance go so well together too, right? Like, have you ever liked a guy or a girl, whatever, and you're curious about them? I wonder what his birthday is. What sign is he? I wonder what sign he is, right? Or whatever. Just make it right up. Like, I wonder where he went to school, or I wonder what his favorite food is, whatever his favorite color is, right? You become curious about the things that you're into, right?
And you start asking those questions.
Yeah. Right. What's your sign? I'm a Taurus, by the way.
I think
You're a what? You're a Taurus?
Yes. Oh, you don't want to mess with the Taurus. You don't want to mess with Taurus.
No. I'm a Taurus rising. So I'm a Pisces, but I'm a Taurus rising. So that might be why we get along so well.
I got no earth signs in my chart.
No she's all air and water.
Damn.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she's air and water.
I know too much about astrology. We won't go down that.
We won't go down that road. That is.
I'm telling you, I'm getting on the road right now.
Really, you should come. You should come
and
have an in studio interview with us sometime.
I'd love to take
if I can. I think that's a great idea. I'm going to try to make it work.
Yeah, and I've told you numerous times, if you're ever in the Midwest, even I will drive to wherever you are in the Midwest. I tried to facilitate a gathering, but like I said, my life got a little chaotic, and so things are in different places now. But if I do ever come up with something to have you come out this way for a workshop of any sort, whether it's for play, kettlebells, jiu-jitsu, you name it,
I'd be honored.
I will definitely get you out here, because I think your knowledge and your kind of just your philosophy and your way of thinking is very unique. And it's a beautiful blend of a lot of different, what's the word I'm looking for? I think like it pulls from a lot of different sources, and you've created this beautiful kind of like thing that's all your own and uniquely you, that I think needs to be shared with the world on a wider scale. And I know you still do some like training for trainers. Am I correct, or have you kind of stepped away from that?
I did not voluntarily step away from it. Unfortunately, like COVID just killed all of that. Yeah. And I have not been able to restart it well enough.
Okay.
Yeah. I love training trainers. I love working with other trainers. In the kettlebell world, however, I'm so burnt out with the kettlebells, so I voluntarily stepped out of that world. It's like I just can't deal with it anymore, because there's there's so many camps and everybody's right versus everybody's wrong. And it's like, that's why I like what you said in the beginning, Katie. It's like there's a beautiful form to this, and if people are moving beautifully and enjoying the work, I don't care if it's wrong according to a certain camp, right? Yep. I don't care.
He actually helped me. I have a hard time with a square stance with a kettlebell swing. And so I sent Jason a message, and I was like, this hurts my lower back. And he's like, get out of the dogma and the stigma of it having to be this, this kind of locked movement. And he's like, make it play, make it playful, make it movement. And I brought that philosophy into other things, whether it's teaching yoga, when I'm, teaching a yoga class. And before I might've been like, change their foot. Now I'm just kind of like, Is that comfortable for you? Do you feel like you can move? And I think that's a philosophy that everybody needs to bring to their own workouts, that it doesn't necessarily have to be, form is important, yes, because you don't want to hurt yourself, but not everybody's form is going to be the same.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's all because of you, Jason.
Oh, thank you, Katie.
Awesome. So, last thing about you, you are a book lover.
I am.
You are a book lover. You read more books than Sarah.
And that's hard to believe.
Is it?
Shocked. I read a lot.
She reads a lot, but I think Jason reads more.
Do you have a ritual, Sarah?
Yes, every morning. I try to read 10 pages every morning.
That's exactly what I do.
So I read 10 pages in the morning
of
a book that I'm learning something about. So it's usually like a science-based book, whether it's nutrition or exercise or longevity, whatever. And then every night I read another 10 pages before bed, but that's usually like a personal development or a spiritual growth or something kind of self-affirming. So I read 20 pages a day. So I'm usually in like 4 to 5 different books at one time.
Yes, I am too. Yeah.
You guys, I'm a book lover as well. I'm not that. I need to get a ritual. I think myself, I need to get something going there. But if you could give us your top 3 books that you could recommend to people that are, whether that's a spiritual book, a movement book, a book about gardening, because I know you like that too. What would be top 3 books that you would offer to our listeners? We love giving book recommendations. So, and I feel like you're a great person to ask.
Thank you. Put me on the spot, Katie.
I know.
So there's so many, and I think this changes from day to day.
Right.
So
right now, in your
right
mindset
now, The Creative Act by Rick Rubin.
Okay.
Have you heard of this?
Mm-mm.
I have, but I haven't read it.
You will love it.
Okay.
Each page is like short little, maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs, but it's like all highlight material. So The Creative Act by Rick Rubin, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron.
Okay.
Let me try to give you a movement one. Ooh. Scholar Warrior.
Okay.
Scholar Warrior. It's a book on Qigong, but it goes much deeper on like living life as a scholar warrior, which you both are for sure.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have you read, to spin off that really quick, have you read The Align Method?
I have not.
That's a good one to check out, because he very much so is in alignment with what your philosophies are. He talks more about just, it starts out as physical alignment, literally, for people if they have chronic pain and things like that, but it talks about bringing it full circle, in every facet of your life. So it's really interesting.
I will check it out when we get off. One author that I suggest everybody read is Sean, and it's Shaun, that spelling, Sean McNiff. So he was actually an art therapist, but Sarah, just what you were saying, he recommends starting everything off with physical gestures, because he thinks, people think about creativity and they think it takes place only in the brain or only in the mind. But to get real creative responses, like, let's just start scribbling, or let's just start typing. Just start with this huge, ugly gesture. It doesn't even need to be beautiful. Just start moving and something will come out. So Sean McNiff, one of his best books is called Trust the Process.
I will be reading that. I definitely
Imagination and action.
Yeah, I was going to say, I believe in the action first, just because even, in my own world, when I'm trying to create social media content or something like that, I have my best ideas when I'm walking or when I'm running or when I'm moving. It never happens when I'm sitting there thinking about it.
No. What did Henry David Thoreau say about walking, Katie? You better notice. I've said it a million times on Instagram.
Better know this.
Oh no.
Henry David Thoreau.
Well, we've had plenty of conversations to where our best thinking is always done when we're moving, like out in nature. What did he say?
And this goes back to the tech. This goes back to the tech and maybe not relying on tech so much. Do you need another moment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Crap.
That's what he said.
She
Crap.
said crap. Yes, he said crap. Henry David Thoreau wrote a book called Crap.
I don't remember.
He said, I walk to get ideas out of my head, not into my head. So I always think about when people have these podcasts on and like these 3-hour podcasts with Huberman, nothing against Huberman, but who's got 3 hours to listen to a podcast? Just leave the podcast off for a little bit. And like Sarah says, just walk and you will, this is Rick Rubin talks about this all the time in the Creative Act. The word he uses is source, which is great because it's not one particular deity or whatever. Source is going to send you stuff. And whether you think that source is the oak tree in your neighborhood, or whether you think that source is the moon or the sun or whatever, source is going to send you stuff when you're out there walking.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're willing to listen.
I think
If
that's
you are
also
willing to
profound,
listen, yes.
you know, even if you look outside of like the spiritual realm, you know, so many people this day and age struggle with like anxiety, you know, or detrimental thoughts. And I think movement and being outside is truly the answer. It really is. Because like you just said, it helps you move ideas from your mind, you know. So if you're struggling with like repetitive thoughts or, you know, just anxious feelings, I think movement is so crucial in that too. So,
and there's something to be said for doing that movement amongst the trees, or under the sky, or next to water, or someplace that is away from humans. There's something to be said for getting back into the natural state of existence and then moving there, and what that does for not only your body physically, but spiritually and mentally as well. It recalibrates your entire nervous system to be amongst the trees. I'm a huge proponent of, you know, being barefoot and getting those negative ions through the body. I'm also a huge proponent of hugging trees because of what they give to you. So, you know, like getting out into nature, as Sarah said, and that movement, and it will reduce a lot of the angst that you have in your life.
I agree wholeheartedly. Yes.
Awesome. Such a good conversation.
Yes. You two are incredible. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Jason, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat with us about your philosophy and what you do. So where could people find you online if they wanted to take a look at the stuff you share? Because you do share some great stuff on Insta.
I share most of my stuff on Instagram, like book notes and stuff like that. That's Iron Kimono, like iron, like pump iron, and in kimono, like jujitsu kimono. I'm thinking about changing my name though. Maybe you two, because you two are so, I love it too, but I don't know. I sort of want something different. I'm going to keep that though, because I'm afraid if I give it up, somebody will take it, which has happened a million times. Like I had Strength Garden and somebody took Strength Garden.
Oh,
yeah.
He actually apologized to me. He's like, I saw him using it and I wrote him a message. I said, oh, I really like that name. And he's like, oh man, I'm so sorry. I took it without asking. But what do you tell me? What you guys can I just talk a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you like more? Like I think mountain poet, river bear, mountain poet, river dog. I want to change my Instagram to one of those. What do you think? Mountain poet, river bear, mountain poet, river dog. Look at Sarah.
I like bear. I like the word bear.
Okay,
cool.
I'll go with bear. All right, perfect. So currently, go ahead.
Make sure you set up another account and save the Iron Kimono one though.
I will not give that up because somebody will steal it. So Iron Kimono currently,